Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's W-R-I-T.
Peace, peace. What's going on, everybody?
Peace.
How's everybody?
Good, good.
We
Peace,
good.
peace.
We still gonna work this thing, man.
Oh,
Hey, look, this is a nationality class, and most of us don't understand what nationality is, who ain't never heard of it. You know what I'm saying? Even though this class is gonna be on effective usage against writing WRITS on public officials, things like this, is still a nationality class. And like I said, a lot of us don't know what nationality is. So if you ask most people, what is your nationality? They're gonna tell you black, white. There's no such thing. You can never be a black person. You can never be a white person. Because people over the world from different countries, when you say you from Japan, you know, automatically, you know, you Japanese.
Yeah, that's right.
When you're from China, you're Chinese.
They don't say the yellow.
Or when you're from they don't call themselves yellow. So when the world hears us calling each other by colors, man, they laughing and really just thinking how ignorant we really are. You know what I mean? But all along, they set everything up. You know, that stuff is for law. You know what I mean? So colors, you can't call people by crayon colors. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. And another thing is, you have people with PhDs, doctor's degree. They actually think that the United States and America is one and the same.
No, it's not.
It's not. You never heard them say the American Post Office, or the American Navy, or the American Air Force, right? They say the United States Post Office, the United States Marines, all these things, right? And in law, like I say, all you gotta do is go look this stuff up, but we don't read. But what we are definitely socially engineered from like 5 years old all the way up to college. And beyond that, you're socially engineered to think a certain way. And especially when we look with our people, man, we see this self-hatred, man. What I do, I try to get along with all groups, man. I don't care if you call yourself the Black Panther. Hey, look, man, I try to get along with everybody because we need that bag amongst our communities, man. We need it. But you do have leaders that bang on each other, and that don't help us out as a people at all. It don't help us out. You know what I mean? And for instance, I was listening to the video that I sent out on the brother Umar Johnson. And Umar Johnson was banging on the walls, you know, saying that we gotta, you know, we hate Africa. How are we gonna hate Africa? When Africa is a part of who we are. Just like America is a part of who we are.
That's true.
Okay? So he's acting like we love America, so we love white folks. First of all, I don't know who white folks are. I don't know who they are. But we got a love for America. Why? You should have a love for America. Because it's your native land too. The whole world was ours. But to act like we got a hate for Africa, that's definitely not true. At all. So, to me, the only people that I know that are genuinely going against and fighting against this government is Moors. I mean, everybody else is talking rhetoric, but I'm saying actually by law, going against public officials, all these things, it's the Moors. And we're doing it thinking. We're not just coming off with rhetoric. We the only ones I know that's doing that. The only ones. We the only ones I know that's going up in the court and writing WRITS and shutting cities and counties down, bankrupting them. That's what we're doing. I don't know of no other people or groups that's doing this. And we are all Moors. We all Moors, whether you're conscious about it or unconscious, we all Moors. But to get into talking about, you know, we got a love for white people and all this crazy shit, man. I don't see where that's coming into the picture at all, because we definitely ain't got it. And then they talk, look, if you say we got to love so much for America, then why don't you take your ass to Africa? And anybody else who love Africa, why are you still here? Why are you still here? Go back to Africa. If your love for Africa is like that, how much the love for America, how we have it, then why don't you go back there? Because they ain't trying to go back. It's rhetoric. But so forth is, we don't speak rhetoric. We actually write writs. We actually go up in the court. We actually going against the police right in his face. Regurgitating law in his face. Ain't nobody doing that. So how the hell we love, first of all, let's get this straight. Europeans, any European on this land is not an American. First of all, they're not an American. How they going to be American when they got here in 1492? We've been here. So certain people ignorantly keep thinking that since we say we love our land, that we got a love for what they call Europeans. They say white folks. How do we have a love for them? Because we love our land. They're not from here. They are not from here. They are occupying this territory. They are occupying this land. And then you can just hear the ignorance in the talk. We know as Moors, because we're the only ones that really study this. But when you say that you start talking about Haiti and Cuba and Venezuela, and you say stuff like Haiti is in the backyard of America. Haiti is America. Costa Rica is America. Right? Jamaica is America. America and United States are two totally different things. And when you start talking about we the American people and considering this American, you are showing your ignorance. You've never been taught. So you got PhDs and all this stuff, but when you talk like that, you can tell that that education hasn't done you any good at all. Peace, brother. Where you been? I ain't seen you. Oh yeah? You gotta give me your phone number so I can add you on to it. But we gotta try to get along with everybody. Ain't no sense of us banging on each other, man. And one more thing, we was always in tribes. We never really got along like people want to think. It's always been tribalism. We always was warned against each other. It's always been that way.
Organization of American States.
You know? And then if you look at the OAS, that's Organization of American States, you can see clearly, I mean, it's all about learning. I'm gonna tell you, man, that's why I really stay quiet a lot. You know why? Because I have the knowledge of a baby. I'm being real. I'm not being arrogant, acting like I know everything. But I have the knowledge of a baby, man. So it keeps me humble, right? Yeah. We know just a little bit. But when you got people, man, that get up there, I'm telling you, it make them look like fools, man, when they act like they know everything. They know everything, and when you go back and look at it, you'll see just how ignorant they are. But they arrogant, and you can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them anything. Peace, Ryan. So, I know most people, and look here. Hey, let me see, let me see that one. What do you do? Hold on 1 second. Volume up. want you to hear this. I want you to hear this.
Information. Like Papa Smurf. That Papa Smurf shit ain't gonna get us nowhere. That Papa Smurf shit ain't gonna get us nowhere. You feel me? Hold on. Yeah. Nah, I got this. I got this.
You acting like you on the phone with someone. This is one case. You act like you on the phone talking gangster with somebody, and somebody, this when him and SEPT had something going on. And you gonna act like you on the phone with someone talking about you got this. I got this. Nah, dude, I don't even worry about it. I got this. Then the phone rang. That's some fake shit, man. Who the hell wanna follow this dude? I ain't never done no stuff in my life like that, man. And most brothers that around me, and we came up in this thing together, man, nobody does that. And you want that to be a leader? Somebody faking on something small like that? That's some fake shit. But look here. Let's cut it off. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing going.
It's not, brother.
Effective use of WRITS against public officials. Give it up for a brother Kemitu Bey.
That's right. I just want to touch on this real quick because Ali was saying some things. And we got a lot of brothers and sisters from the Caribbean. They declare themselves as Moors. And even though they declare themselves as Moors, because they're having an issue back in their country, as you would say, as we would have problems here. And so when they start coming into this reality, they declare themselves as Moors because they realize that the colonies are being controlled by the crown. So you will still hear our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, you know, innocently to say that they will still classify this land here as America, and I would say no, the United States is not America. It says the United States of America, which means it's from America, but it's not America. So what the politicians do here and on the news, they keep poisoning the world about this here is America, and any other place is not America. The reason why I'm bringing this up so you know exactly what I'm talking about, because what it does, this can kill immigration laws. Because, listen to me carefully, because I'm sure that some of us have a connection back home, you know, because some of us do have loved ones or households who are from the Caribbean and having a difficult time with the immigration issue from the Caribbean. As a Moor, I get calls all the time from my brothers and sisters from the Caribbean. My latest one is the brother from Antigua. Him and his wife, those are my Moorish brothers and sisters. They send me stuff from back home, like purple sea moss and other things too. And of course, I'm helping them with the immigration issue over there because the brother's been with his wife for 25 years in Antigua. He's originally coming out of Jamaica, but came to the United States and got his credentials in the United States and met up with his wife in Antigua. And he's been with his wife, with her business. They got a child, beautiful daughter, and she travels all over the world gathering products for her business in Antigua. But in meanwhile, her husband is catching hell in Antigua because they want him to become a citizen in Antigua. And so the brother knows that he's not going to want to become a citizen. He don't even want to be a citizen in Jamaica, even though he was born there. But because he had the knowledge as a Moor, he realized what was going on over there. All right? And so again, matter of fact, his passport was the one who I did the QSEP number on it. It showed you how much money that was being made off the passport. Because the passport, again, is associated with a bond. And most of us don't know that, just like the driver license and all these other instruments. Because again, nobody's telling you this information, and a lot of us don't know about this information, so I take it upon myself to make sure that I expose this information. But in the meantime, when you begin to go to the Organization of American States, you will be shocked to find out that Trinidad is an American state. You can go to the website, Antigua, Argentina, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Canada, you hear that? Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad, Tobago, United States. You hear that? The United States is considered to be classified as a member of the American states. But if we see that to be true, then why are they playing this immigration law against our brothers and sisters who are equally American citizens? They don't need no damn passport or be under some damn immigration law, have to file an I-9 form for employment. You know, I know what time it is, all right? And they got our people going for a green card. But meanwhile, you got two nations, states, who are members of the American state, and that's Canada and the United States, right? And the United States is the one who will be recognizing as an American, America. But yet, at the same time, they got our people in the Caribbean and all through the world that the United States is only the place that's called America. No other place is called America but the United States, and you know that got to be political. So I just ran down nation states, the author's Western Hemisphere, because we was taught in school here in this land, if y'all can recall, for those who was raised up in this land, that we call this the Americas, all right? But for some reason, when it comes to Latin America and the Caribbean islands, they seem to tell our brothers and sisters something different, all right? And they're doing that politically to keep them trapped, all right? And this whole immigration issue is all about money. It's all about money, all right? So how in the hell are they going to be a part of the member of the American states, but yet you want to impose immigration laws on the same members, all right? Because that Organization of American States, as you would look at it, as being like the UN. And if we all members, there should be some kind of treaty to allow you to come back and forth without going through some damn immigration laws, all right? But a lot of our people is not aware of these things. So I'm working on some cases right now with this issue, all right? So as I was telling my brother, my Moorish brother who's from Jamaica, he was unaware of it. It shook him. He had a different thought now, because he was saying, well, damn, if you telling me that Jamaica is an American state, all right, now he has a different viewpoint about Jamaica. He doesn't see Jamaica separate from America because of the politics that they've been telling our people all along. Right. So I had to actually address this issue what Brother Ali was talking about, all right? And matter of fact, let me go even a little further. Let me go even further. Because these people are playing games, and they know that we don't know how to read in etymology. We read connotatively, but not in etymology. I put this word down, and this is the reason why we have to know these WRITS. Because it's the public officials who are actually, matter of fact, I have to bring up an issue that Ali said. We have to be careful. The government is our government. What happened is we got corrupt officials running our government. The United States is our government, all right? If it wasn't for the Moors, there wouldn't have been no United States. That's something that a lot of people don't know, all right? Because when the 13 colonies came together and they wanted to declare their independence against the crown of England, they went to Spain. Spain rejected them. They did not bring them into as the League of Nations at that time. They went to France. France rejected them. They, of course, most likely going to be rejected from England, right? You know who brought the colonies into the League of Nations? The Moroccan Treaty of 1787. If you go get the New York Times, the year is 1999. They got a big issue. You can go right to one of the libraries, any library that would hold these newspapers. The New York Times, the year is 1999. They put a whole layout of the long and standing treaty with the United States and Morocco. And when we talk about Morocco, we're not talking about the Kingdom of Morocco. Get this clear. Because people think that when we talk about Morocco, we talk about somebody foreign from us. No. Morocco was our empire. That place used to be called Mauritania, all right, at one time. But it was broken off. And how it got broken off is because of the Arab invasion. So Morocco right now is an Arab republic. But if you get the Moroccan Treaty of 1787, that's what you do is Google it. And you start reading into those articles. You know what word they're going to use? More. Right inside the Moroccan Treaty, they're going to say more. And again, if you go and get a dictionary and look up the word more, matter of fact, in the dictionary they're playing games, so you'll know what's going on. This is what they put in the dictionary. If you go look up the word more, you'll notice that the word more is going to be different from the definition of blackamoor. Why would they put in the dictionary two definitions in reference to more? You see them say, yes, brother. Oh, by the way, you got the mic? Oh,
Right here.
and listen to this carefully, y'all. I think it's very important. This speaker's not on, is it?
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
Yeah.
What I do, so you'll know, when the session is over, Ali sends me the video. So I listen. So it's very important that when you get the mic, please speak up in the mic, because when I be listening, I don't hardly hear the people speaking on the mic. And I think the people who's listening, because we had about 3,500 people that listened to y'all two weeks ago. I just want to let you know that. It was over 3,500 people that were listening. All right? But I couldn't hear y'all. So please speak up into the mic so that people can hear your questions or even your comments. All right? But I can tell you if you're speaking up because I will be able to hear you in that back speaker. All right? So please, what's your question, brother?
Oh, I was going to answer
Yes.
your question. So the difference between Moor and blackamoor
Yes.
is status. So one is primary status of being a Moor is the one nationality and the true status, and that blackamoor denotes two words, black and Moor. So it says dead Moor in a sense.
Got you. When you look in the dictionary for the word Moor, they're going to give you a definition, you know, like someone from Morocco, you know, someone from North Africa. You got me? That's the definition you're going to see for Moor. One from Morocco, one from North Africa, you know, that kind of definition for Moor. But when you look up for blackamoor, they're going to give you all the negative connotations, all right, that's associated with black. They're going to show you this word, Negro, all right. There's other definitions I'm trying to think now that's associated with blackamoor, all right, because technically, if you notice, if you're paying close attention, they're using this to put this onto the Moor. And of course, you know, a, like the, is an indefinite article. So what they're saying is that this word black here can go on any Moor. So technically, this is the Moor that they're talking about. All right, so what they did is they redefined the word Moor in description concerning nationality. So they wanted to bring on these negative connotations. Matter of fact, if you know anything about etymology, the G, the letter G, if you go into any dictionary and look up the word G, it's going to show you that the G in Greek, technically coming from Phoenician, which is Canaanite, is grammar, right? Excuse me, gamma. If you look up C in the dictionary, because C is the third letter, right, of the English language. But when you look up C, it's going to tell you gamma. Just like G, they're going to tell you that it's gamma. All right, so these two letters are interchangeable in English. All right, so what I'm saying is, if it's interchangeable, instead of putting the G there, you put the C there and look what you got. Necro, like in necromancy. Necro in Greek means dead. So they codified the word necro with the word negro. All right, so the Portuguese and the Spanish was calling the Moors Negroes. And to this day, our people are still calling themselves that. Bobby was trying to get that away from them because I was studying God. My studies at one time was into Pan-Africanism and also in Afrocentrism, all right? And of course, our brothers are banging on each other, which I don't agree with, because there's a YouTube piece out there which Stokely Carmichael, known as Corey Tormer, he was battling against Molefe Asante, all right? What it was is Kwame Ture has the Pan-African view, Molefe Asante has the Afrocentric view, and they both was giving their presentation concerning the two. So to me, it doesn't make sense that you have a lecture between those two, and Kwame Ture was showing the differences between Pan-Africanism and Afrocentricism. That's what he was doing. To me, it didn't make sense to me, because what I learned in Afrocentric studies is everything is at the center of Africa, all right? Pan-African is to unify all Africans, but you want to unify all Africans where? To the center of Africa, all right? So this is what I see. I see excellent studies on both sides. I don't see where one cancel out the other, and that's what was going on. So this is not something new that you hear coming from Omar Johnson. Again, I've been into Afrocentric studies and Pan-African studies for 30 years. So I've been around Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, and all the gurus. All right, I've been around the Panthers and them, and with Kwame Ture with the Pan-African idea. I've been around them. I've been studying Garvey. I was Garveyite. So I love all of it. So I can't bang on the Pan-African movement, and I can't bang on the Afrocentric movement. All right, because basically both of them talked about our culture. Both of them talk about our culture, and we need to learn that historical information. But to be banging on each other don't make no sense to me. All right. Again, the issue concerning laws. I was at the House of Reawakening Minds where Omar, of course, did a lecture there. He was banging on Moore's. Moore's the lawyer going to help you. All right. I didn't get that concept and idea why, he would say that, because under health and hygiene, they have a law. He couldn't get his degree if that law wasn't set up by them Europeans. So you can't say that the Moors love the white man because we want to stay in our land. Because if that's true, if you got a degree in psychology, well, who do you think you got that from? You got it from the same laws that the so-called white man has set up. So it's just sad that one would say these things, but you know why? I learned that when people say things because they have a little bit of noodles upstairs more than others, or using their noodles more than others, is because they know that others may not have that knowledge. So it's very easy to say something that someone else doesn't know. So it sounds very prestigious. Right. But you can't say that to this Moor here. You may want to say that to a bunch of our brothers and sisters, and they would go for that in the thousands. They may go for that, and they may support that. But then, again, I don't believe in banging on our brothers and sisters out there. But I have to set the record straight. Right. All right? I had Pan-African studies, Afrocentric studies. I was a Garveyite. The things that Omar said, I grew up with my mom. She taught me a lot of those things that most mothers in households don't even teach their child or children. All right? My mom was the first one who told me that Garvey was the one who started the first black doll factory because of what they was doing to our brothers and sisters, which is white doll. My mom told me that. A lot of things my mom told me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting that people can say things and don't know what other people's backgrounds are. Not everybody you can say something to and think that you can get away with saying it without it not being addressed. We have to set the record straight. We can't be saying antics and throwing things out of proportion. Haiti is an American state. So that just shows you how this European here, who we so-called call the white man, which he's not, he's an albion because he has albinism in his skin. He cannot produce melanin. That's the reason why I just don't get why our brothers and sisters is laying down with this thing that doesn't produce melanin. Because once you drop your seed in this woman, or if the brother dropped his seed in that Caucasian woman, her chemicals in her body is going to disintegrate and break down melanin. And you're going to wonder why we have these conditions. All right? The condition that we have, like dandruff and eczema and all that, that's because their blood is tainted in us. There's a lot of this conditions that we have that we shouldn't be having. And you have to wonder where these conditions are coming from. All right? Because we commingle in our blood, unfortunately, with them. Prior to that, it was rape, because they raped a lot of us. All right? And I'm not saying that we became light-skinned because of the European. That's not true either. All right? Because a lot of us was light-skinned even before the European came along because of climatical reasons why. So I think that's very important because, again, we have to be balanced. We cannot say one thing and not say something different. All right? So, because you got a lot of Ethiopians. They ain't got no European blood in them. All right? And they're lighter than the other Africans. All right? So we need to see that because of climatical differences. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the hair. Some of us got curly hair. Some of us got coarse hair, woolly hair. Some of us got kinky hair. So I think it's very important.
About the testing.
Huh?
The testing.
The testing?
The DNA test.
Oh, well, that DNA test, you know, the statement for that don't make sense to me. And why? Because you got Europeans. I've seen a documentary that Europeans was getting DNA tests and they found their roots back to Senegal or back to Ghana or back to South Africa. All right? That's a fact. I've seen it. All right? Their bloodline run back to us. We may not want to agree to it, but if you want to agree to DNA for us to say that we are not technically here, we from Africa, because of the DNA shows that. But what about the Europeans, who they show their DNA going back to one of those African tribes? All right? So we already know about the humanity. All right? Because, again, if you begin to start studying some of our scholars in the past, you know, the European got Neanderthal in his gene pool. We don't have that. But he had our humanity in his gene pool of Neanderthal. So somewhere along the line, so many thousands of years ago, Homo sapiens sapien mixed their gene pool with the Neanderthal. All right? Because something that we do that they don't do. All right? And we can notice the characteristics and the differences. So one thing I try to do is be balanced. I'm not even here about banging on none of the brothers. I think Omar is doing an excellent job, all right, of letting information be known out there, you know, based upon his travels. But then you gotta set the record straight proper. You just can't just say anything, because I know brothers personally who set up a hotel in Ghana and the Africans over there is stealing. So now they gotta shut down the hotel because they can't maintain it, all right? And I've watched videos where brothers and sisters from here went to Africa, and the infrastructure that we set up here under blood, sweat, and tears, being up under this beast, we built this country. So I don't ever heard of you building your house and leaving your house to go someplace else where the house is not even built. You're going to want to stay at a place where you built your house. I can't see leaving what we built for somebody else to come and take it over. The European had a plan, which he did, and brought all them Europeans with the $5 Indian and even with the Homestead Act to setting that stuff up for a mass migration of Europeans coming out of Europe to take over these lands here. And so we're going to allow them to do that when they wasn't even here? They could just walk into what we had set up? I don't think so. No, I've never heard of anybody building up something, a nest or an asset or something for themselves, and just going to get up and leave and go someplace else. That doesn't make sense to me. All right? Now, if you're going to leave someplace else and build something based upon what you got here, I can see that. But just to leave your stuff all together just to go someplace else, I've never heard people do that. You know, and again, I've seen videos where our brothers and sisters had left the United States, as they call it, proper, went over to Ghana. Matter of fact, who did the documentary was Henry Louis Gates. And when our people got to Ghana, guess what they did? They took their passports, they threw it in the water. Right? They threw it in the water. But then after they stayed a day, and it wasn't what they used to, because of what their ancestors built for them to be comfortable with, they said that same night, they ran back to the damn ocean looking for their passports. Because again, who leaves what you build to go some other place to just regard over here? Nobody does that. A businessman don't even do that. A smart businessman don't do that. They even say when you do business, like as far as investment, they use other people's money. They don't even use their money. Because they don't want to take a risk losing their money, right, in an investment. This must be a short in it, because every time I keep moving. So what I'm saying is, psychologically, it's not sound to leave your investment here that you have built up, sweat and tears here in this land, all right? Because guess what? The European, he ain't gonna do that. You ain't hear no European talking about he going back to Europe. You notice that, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them came from slavery too, you know. The slavery thing was not a so-called black thing, all right? A bunch of ethnic groups of people were enslaved in this land. It was not enslaved as strong as we were, because we was the strongest, all right? But again, you don't hear Europeans here, so-called white folks saying, oh, we going back to Europe, and we going to build and do something over there. You don't hear them saying that, all right? But then, Noah Webster, 1828 dictionary, look up the word American. Why would this so-called white man, when he looked at the people that was on this land, he gave a description in 1828 dictionary saying this is a copper tone race of people. The word American is referring to a copper tone. But the European took on the name that belonged to a copper tone people and attributed to himself for American nationalism. And they're holding the name with pride. But yet we want to run from it. Noah, 1828. Right. And go get an 1828 dictionary and look up the word American, and you're going to see it's going to describe us right here. Noah. Man, what's going on?
Let me see that.
It's like a short going on. It's a short going on.
Take that off a minute.
Yeah, it's like a short. Like I keep moving. And I'm not even really moving that much, but there's a short going on. All right. All right. All right. Peace. So, again, I think it's very clear that we need to be aware of everything across the board. We need to be balanced. All right. I know some brothers personally who have what you would call Native American blood. And they've been here all their life with their ancestors. And again, I think the problem is that when we take one name and homogenize all of the people of the world into that one name, that's the problem. Because people all over the world don't see themselves as an African. I'm not saying that they're not an African. But what I'm saying is I think it's clear that when you go to other countries and you see people that's darker than me, hair coarser than my hair, they don't say that they're the black man. That's a term or slogan that we use here in the United States. They don't say that they're a black man. So now, because they don't say they're a black man, should we denounce them because they don't say they're a black man? If they was to say that there was a black man, guess what would happen with us? We would embrace them. We would embrace them quickly. But yet there's cultural differences and their skin pigmentation is darker. They don't call themselves black. There's a lot of so-called black people around the world that don't call themselves black. Do you know why they don't call themselves black? You know why? It's because that word was never in their culture. That word is a European word. Just like we didn't originally call ourselves Negroes and coloreds, those are terms that came from Europeans. The mic is a little too loud, more?
No, it's good.
Oh. So, my point is that the terms that we're using today, these are European terms. It bothers me when I find scholarly type brothers do some excellent research and then use the word black. Even in Egyptology, which is something that I study. And the brothers will always say, oh, these Egyptians were black people. No, brother, you're using a European terminology. All right? The only brother that I know in Egyptology who doesn't say that, and I shouldn't say Egyptology because he'll spank me, it's Kemetology, is Brother Baba Haru from the studios of Patar. He's the only one I've heard out of all them Kemetic brothers that denounce the word black. And he's correct, because black is not an African word. Negro is not an African word. Colored is not an African word. If you go to any African and ask them, can you tell me, is this your language? And you cannot substitute an African word for black. That's incorrect too, because you know what you're doing? You're subjugating yourself back to the dramatic word. This is what I always say. Was the word black older than us, or we were older than the word black? That's the question. Because when was the word black first being used? That's the question. When was the word colored first being used? A Negro. So are we older than those words, or are those words older than us? Because if those words were older than us, then you may have a chance to say it could be acceptable if those words were older than us. But if we was older than those words and that was never in our language, how is it that we're using words that have nothing to do with our language? That's the question. This is what we need to ask ourselves. How did black wind up becoming in that vocabulary? The only person that I know who denounced the word Negro, black, and colored was Drew Ali. Marcus Garvey was trying to get the word Negro away from our people. And I love Garvey. Garvey's my hero. That's my man. Garvey was telling the people that it was African. But he couldn't get the word Negro from the people. Marcus Garvey. As great as that man was, Chief, if they never lied on that brother, that noble, honorable brother, because you know Danny Glover and them, and even Garvey's son was trying to get clemency to get Garvey out of being under this criminal statute that they're using against Garvey. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I think it's very important that you know that. But my point is that Garvey couldn't get the word Negro from the masses of our people. And as powerful as Garvey is, and magnifying of the things he did on a global scale, not in Jamaica, because he tried to do it in Jamaica, brothers and sisters in there wouldn't hear him. So Garvey, he seen the bigger picture. Not that he was speaking against his brothers and sisters in Jamaica, but he seen the bigger picture. If you see a bigger picture, you're going to speak on something greater. He said, I'm not going to give up a continent for an island. That's what he said. That's what Garvey said. That's what Garvey said. You see what I'm saying? So when he tried to get his program going on in Jamaica, it couldn't happen with his people. They ridiculed him. So how Garvey come to the States here, and a lot of people don't know this either. A woman, I can't recall her name, she wrote a book. I got to get a copy of the book and bring it back so you can see it. What she did was wrote a book on Garvey and Booker T. Washington. Garvey and Washington, Booker T. was writing letters back and forth to each other, right? And so, all right, good, excellent. So Booker T. Washington was the one that gave Garvey the blueprint. So you got a brother from the Caribbean and a brother from the States working together. Because it wasn't just 100% that it was Garvey. You got what I'm saying? It wasn't 100% Garvey. Garvey did start his program. Yeah, it's good. We're going to need it because it's good. All right. Garvey came to the States solely to meet Booker T. Washington because, again, they was writing letters to each other. Booker T. Washington wrote the blueprint. Booker T. Washington is the same brother who had a problem with Du Bois because one was saying education and the other one was saying vocational skills, which was Booker T. Well, technically, both of them was right. Both of them is right. We need the vocational skill because we got to plant food to eat, right, and maintain. We have to do textiles for clothing. So both these brothers was right. I don't disagree with Booker T or Du Bois. Both of them was right. We see two giants. But then what happens is in our minds, when we come against each other, we see a diversion. And then we have a tendency to be biased and say we're going to side with this one as opposed to that one. No. Both of these brothers is right. Because you know why? Like Garvey, I see the bigger picture. I wouldn't say that Garvey was right over, Booker T was right over Du Bois, or Du Bois was right over Booker T. I see the bigger picture. We need the education and we need the vocational skills. We need both of them. So we could become one power supernation to stand on our own 2 feet in reference to doing it for self. That's what I see. All right? So again, I'm just giving you some good insight that I think is very important to be aware that a lot of our brothers are running to Africa. You see our brothers and sisters wearing all kinds of African clothes, wearing eating African foods. And you know what's so sad that was not mentioned? The Africans who do come here, they want to take on European names. I've seen it. So when I go into an African brother and I say, yo brother, what's your name? And he gives me Jim Smith. I said, brother, give me your name. All right, stop playing. All right, you took those names on because you know that coming with an African name, the European is going to be biased against you. He's going to know where you're from just by your name. All right, see, we don't have that privilege. We stuck with it, so we couldn't tell you if it's a brother man or the other man by the name that they put on us. So if we said Green, you don't know if that's the other man or the brother man. All right, it kind of worked in our favor too, because again, my mom went to some kind of a financial institution, I'm trying to think of the name of it, a well-known institution to go get a job. And of course, my mom, of course, name is Shirley Latson, right? She went for this job back in the 70s. She's sitting down there with an excellent resume, 2 other women of the Caucasian persuasion were sitting there, right? And so when the receptionist came out and called the name for the job position that she went for, what happened is that she's looking at the 2 Caucasian persuasion. She didn't even look at my mom. Why? Because the name Shirley, that's their name. Latson is their name. So that's their surname. They put those names on us. So that's one of the surnames that we have in our family, as they would say. I don't like to use the word family because the word family means servants and slaves. All right, but that's what they put on us. All right, that's their surnames, you know. So when you go to your, what you call family tree, you notice in your family tree you don't got no African names. The only Africanness of my household, my peoples, my kinfolks, is that they're Gullah. My grandmother is Gullah and my grandfather's Gullah. And they're the only Africans that you can hear in the United States. Everybody else don't talk about being African. All right, the Gullah held down that culture. There's 26 Gullah islands. My grandmother is from an island, and my grandfather is from another island. One is from James, and the other one is from Edisto Island. But it's 26 Gullah islands, and my peoples is from one of those islands. All right, and they sound like the brothers and sisters from the Caribbean. You know, because when you hear the Gullah Geechee, as I was telling my Moorish brother who's from Jamaica, I said, listen, brother, stop saying Jamaican patois. That's garbage. You speak in Gullah. All right, you're not speaking Creole. You're not speaking patois. You're not speaking pidgin. Because how can my peoples and you can comprehend each other, hear each other's dialect, and because like my wife from Guyana, she comprehends what my grandmother said. I don't even know what she's saying, and I was raised around her. So again, they speak Gullah Geechee in Guyana. Gullah Geechee is the language of all the Caribbean islands. But what the European have done, he got you saying, oh, this one is speaking Jamaican patois, this one is speaking Pidgin, this one is speaking Creole. That's French. They want to divide our dialect up so we won't recognize who we are. So if you hear my grandmother speaking to some of the folks from my people's island, you swear they're from Barbados. You swear they're from Trinidad or from Jamaica. You would swear that they're from, you know, from the Bahamas, because the dialect and the tones and how they even say the words. You know, the way I speak, they don't speak that way. They speak like the brothers and sisters from the Caribbean. That's why you hear some of the Caribbean brothers and sisters say, wow, the people down south sound like us. They are you. We the same goddamn people. But when the cracker turn around and mess up your mind, you thinking you different. That's what he wants you to believe. And then tear up your dialect and give it a different name, like he gave us different names. You see what I'm saying? So he not only did it with us, with the names, but he also did it with the language. We don't even recognize it. All right? So let me move on. The next topic is effective usage of writs against public officials. This is really part 2, because a couple of Tuesdays ago when I was here, I was laying it out. I was getting so many phone calls. They said, brother, you was ripping it. I said, brother, they ripping us. So we have to rip it. You know, we have to know this knowledge. We have to have this information because they're using it against us as a weapon of warfare. All right? So this word here is what they're using as a weapon of warfare. This word here. this is a word that you need to learn, that this was a code word. Very important. Person is a what? Code word for, that's what it was. Who let the cat out the bag? James Madison. Two Harvard professors, right? Who wrote the book Alienable Rights. Alienable Rights was the name of the book. It was two Harvard professors. The third chapter, when I was reading the book, in the third chapter, it made it very clear. James Madison took down what you call is some notes. And one of the disputes in the Constitution was this word, slave. They're saying on their document that the word slave was making their document repugnant. They wanted to find another word that would substitute for the word slave. And what they did is they came up with the code word person. All right? I'm going to share some stuff tonight that's going to blow you away. All right? Because as I was saying before, in law, because you can't say, oh, the law ain't going to help you. Brother, sister, you better know that goddamn law, because the cracker is using the law as a weapon of warfare against our people. Do you want me to say that again? Yeah. The devil is using the cracker. I've heard people say cracker. And the reason why I say cracker, not because of their complexion. See, they call us niggas because they figure they associate that with your complexion. Nigger have nothing to do with the word complexion. Look up the word niggerly. Look that up. You can even Google it. And you will find out that the word niggerly have nothing to do with so-called black folks. It has something to do with being a stingy person, a miser, all right, the attitude. So who was the nigger or acting niggerly was the cracker. Because when you didn't do what the cracker said, what he would do is pick up the whip and crack the whip on your back as his weapon of warfare to get you to do exactly what he wants you to do, whatever it was. So I think it's very important to be aware of that, all right? So again, he used this word person as a code word for slave because they was changing up the system so that way they can continue to look like as though that their constitution was something that was of what you would call a good document. A document that would favor the world, which is garbage. See, as a Moor, we learned the United States Constitution. Nobody out there is teaching the United States Constitution but the Moor. When I came into this Moorish movement and declared myself as a Moor over 20 years ago, the first thing that was given to me by another Moor was the 13th Amendment and its 20 sections. If you was to pull up the 13th Amendment today, you only see 2 sections. They took out 18 sections and left you with 2. And you'll be surprised what's in the other 18 sections. All right? In one of the sections that they talked about the pains of slavery and death on an African people, that they would never become citizens in this union society. That was one of the statutes that they was talking about. That we was never to become citizens. And technically, we are not a citizen, technically. I'm going to tell you why. Because, and again, this is why I'm annoyed with Barack Obama playing these goddamn games, all right, with these damn devils. And the reason why I'm saying this, because he himself is a constitutional lawyer. He went to school and took up constitutional law. And he never addressed the 9 slave clause that's in the United States Constitution. There are 9 slave clauses that's still there. And I learned that through the Moorish movement. I didn't learn that from the Panthers. I didn't learn that from the Garvey movement. Any other movement that I was involved with, studying with those brothers and not negating them, you learn from each one. All right? I learned this from this Moorish movement. When I had some legal problems, it was through this Moorish movement that I learned law. I stayed in the law library when the library opened up in the morning and when it closed at night. Why? Because I knew how important it is for me to go look for the information that's going to help my situation dealing in court. Because I always say, and this is what I've been teaching for years, you're going to fall in one of them down there categories when it comes to court. If it ain't going to be child support, if it's going to be, yes.
Hey, just to let y'all know, y'all seen the two public officials here, right? The police?
Yes.
So they outside right now shooting Zoom cameras in on us. You know what I'm saying?
Let me get more.
You know what I'm saying? Peace.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, we cool.
No, we ain't got close to the
Thank you.
I'm just showing you how they are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That they feel like they're going to intimidate us.
Oh, tell them who they are ethnically. Because they're not just public officials, they're brothers.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about, how we bang on each other. We already doing it. Like, for instance, good example. When we wanted to fight for our freedom, it was unfortunate that we joined the Confederate States of America and the Union States of America, which means the brother man fought on both sides, killing himself to become free. Now, was that an oxymoron or was that an oxymoron? Well, guess what? That's still going on today. We are Democrats, we Republicans, right? We are liberals, we are police officers, we are judges, we are senators, we are congressmen. We get in these places and we don't pull together knowing the struggle who we have. We're the only people on this planet for 400-something years is not pulling it together. The Mexicans can come together, the East Indians can come together, the Chinese can come together. Every ethnic group of people other than us, for some reason, cannot come together. So we are so conditioned to hate ourselves that we'll take our job, right, and bang on each other and hurt each other with our jobs because we're getting paid to do it. I'll be the first to tell you that there were some Moors in the Department of Correction. 15 Moors lost their job in the Department of Correction over some damn taxes. I can tell you. I can tell you. And it was us banging on us. Correction officers in the Department of Correction up in the city of New York. And you know what's so interesting? Retribution is coming back. It took some years. They're about to close down Rikers Island. That's the big talk up there now. That's the big thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention based upon what Ali came up here and talked about. But back to the word person. You see this person in law. You go to the criminal law book. You go to the civil law book. You go to the traffic law. Whatever law books they got out there, the main word is person. The person is guilty of an A misdemeanor or B misdemeanor. That's what the first thing they start off with the word person. Let me educate you tonight. Because to me, in order to be effective usage of writs against these public officials, you have to know the language. You have to know the law. So it's going to be very difficult to be effective, all right? I didn't say usage of writs. I say effective. Because a lot of us is doing something out there, but the question is how effective is it? Some of us being effective and some of the most of us is not being effective. And I have a problem with that. So I'm here to show you something that's very effective. Like last couple of Tuesdays ago, I showed you some real strong, effective things. Like for instance, I was telling our people again that if you want to shut down any court in reference to bringing a charge against you, I don't care if it's a credit card, child support, whatever it is, again, you have to go to the Department of State in writing and request in your name, in capital letters, are you an association, LLC, partnership, are you any of these things? And of course, I think I brought it with me. Let me go look. And I try to keep these things, I might not. I might not. Nah. I brought it last week. Hate when I do that. What I brought is a document coming from the Department of State, and it said that this particular name is not in the Corporation of Indexes. So what I'm saying is, in order for them to bring an action against you in court, I don't care if it's a civil court, criminal court, family court, whatever it is, they have to get your consent. They have to get your consent. Even with, matter of fact, I just want to let you know that when I do watch my own YouTube lectures, which I have to keep coherent of what's going on, I do read the comments. You know, you have the likes and the dislikes. I pay more closer to the dislikes because I want to see what you dislike. Because one thing that I do know, for those who dislike, you don't even got no knowledge of what's going on. People dislike things because they feel, oh, I could dislike that because my knowledge says something different. Did you study what I studied? That's for the dislikes. Did you study what I studied? The things that I say to you for those dislikes, have you heard anyone break this down in detail and show you the sources and the references of what I'm talking about? This is not my information. This is not my information. It may be my intellectual property because I'm doing enough studies to gather this information, right? But this is sources from someone else. So if you show any forms of dislike, you're disliking the source of where it's coming from. But you have to show your source why you dislike it. Don't say you dislike something to say that you dislike it because you got some information to say that you dislike it. No, show your sources. I don't want to hear your dislikes. Do me a solid. If you're going to show me a dislike, this is being genuine and honest. Take the document, take the link, and put it to your dislike so you can show us what it is that you dislike. Saying some words is not it. There's no way in the world I can be dropping all this information and you're going to talk about a dislike. Buy the book, Alienable Rights, 2 Harvard professors, the 3rd chapter. I read it. So how can I speak about a dislike and not read it? Or go into the sources to show that why I dislike it. Disprove the information that I'm talking about. Show the link. Screenshot it. Do something. Google it. Do something and show it so we can learn from you. Because one thing about me, if I'm giving you incorrect information and you showing me a dislike, put that information up there. You know what I'm saying? Dislikes is the one that I pay attention to, not the likes. For the likes, I appreciate the support for the likes. Thumbs up, as they say, to the likes. The dislikes, the thumbs up is only going to go to you when you come and show me the sources of why you dislike the information I'm showing you. If you're not doing it just to be saying it, you're wasting our time. Just leave that for somebody who like it. And keep your dislikes to yourself. But if you got proof and evidence of your dislike, please share it. Feel free to share it. But the 3rd chapter, called The Dark Side of the Constitution, where James Madison and his notes was saying they wanted to change the word slave to person because it was repugnant to the Constitution. That's the source of information I gave you. So you can see it. Any other dislikes, like for instance, one dislike, or one brother said, oh, I want to be the landlord so no one can control me. I have nobody to say nothing to me. Well, first of all, brother, you're mistaken. That concept, landlord, come from the European. That is not African culture. That's not our culture, brother. So anytime you said you want to be the landlord, you're saying you want to be the cracker. That's what you're saying, brother. So in order for you to get land, land comes from a lineage of succession rights through marrying one of the women. It's passed down as an inheritance. You can only get land through women. And I ain't talking about buying and selling. Buying and selling is a European thing. All right? We never bought and sold land. Matter of fact, Kohen Alavi from Mount Vernon, he had a school with his wife, Sarafa, called Bal Sheaf. My oldest daughter used to go to that school. He went to Ghana, and he wanted to go buy land in Ghana. And you know what the Africans in Ghana told him? He came to them like a white man, and it woke him up. So again, people put their dislikes out. They have not did the research or the studies to find out they can prove what they're saying as a dislike. But I'm proving to you that we as a people never brought and sold land. We never did that. That's the European thing. This is the main word that they use in the industry. This is the main word that they use. 2 separate words. You're chasing. This refers to chasing. You never get to own the land. First of all, there's a brother who I was listening to on YouTube. He was talking about the reason why you wouldn't get an LLC. Some of the stuff he said I agree with. Some of the stuff I disagree with. But I'm not going to say I disagree. I can give you the breakdown and show you the proof why I disagree with him as a so-called dislike. I can show you the sources. Because he's saying that it doesn't have tax advantages and it has the same status as a proprietorship, a sole proprietorship. Well, he's right in one sense. But what I disagree with the tax advantages, because I do taxes like he does. And I have gotten people tens of thousands of taxes returned with an LLC. Because one thing that if you listen to the video, one thing that you'll hear me say, and you go back and you listen to him, you'll say, oh wow, he's not saying what this brother's saying, but he sounds sure for what he's saying. But he's going to tell you there's no tax advantages. That's not true. If you're used to getting $3,000 back as a tax return, I can increase it up to somewhere near $10,000 or more. And you say, well, how could that be possible? Simple. Because if you're pumping your money by opening up an account of the LLC, all right, because say, for instance, you work in a JOB and you decide to do business through an LLC, which you should do anyway. All of us should do that. There's none of us in here who got a job should not have a job and not have an LLC. I'm the only one that's dropping this. Why? Because, oh my God. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See, like I said, I'll show you the source. I'll show you the source, and you're going to have to Google something. This is what you got to see. That's the target right there, y'all. And I'm going to show you tonight what's going on. Because it can't be effective in uses and writs if you don't know the language. This is the code, y'all. There's 50 codes of the United States Code, so you'll know. There's 50 codes. 31 happens to be one out of the 50 codes. This code deals with money. But if you Google 31 USC 7701 and stay with this 7701, y'all, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, because 7701 is connected to that. All right, and I'm going to show you how it's connected. But we're going to go to 31 USC section 7701. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. (31 USC 7701). Look what they say here. This is the title. Anybody see the title? It's taxpayers identifying number. You hear that, y'all? When you open it up, when you click on that, all right, this is 31 USC section 7701. And I'm going to show you a connecting statute. Tell me it's plenty of connecting statutes. You got to know this law. How are you going to sit there and tell people the law ain't going to help you? It's helping a whole lot of us. Look what they say. Number 2 says taxpayers identifying number means the identifying number required under section 6109 of the Internal Revenue Code. This is what they're saying. I'm going to scroll further down. Number 4, look what they say for number 4. Listen to what they say for number 4. For purposes of this subsection, this is the subsection of 7701. This is what they say. A person, right, shall not be treated as doing business with a federal agency solely by reasons of being a debtor. Do you hear that? This is important that I'm dropping on you now. You know why I'm saying this? Because some of us got mortgages by Ginnie Mae and Freddie Mac. Right? And yet the lawyers turn around and bring you in court as a debtor, saying that you defaulted on the mortgage payment. But this statute saying for the purposes of this subsection, a person shall not be treated as doing business with a federal agency solely by the reasons of being a debtor under the third-party claims of the United States. Because most of our people don't know that when these attorneys do a foreclosure on your property, they're supposed to notify the U.S. Attorney General that they're foreclosing in your house. And they're also supposed to notify the bank within that state where the property is being foreclosed on. All right? So they're telling you right here what they should not be doing. And this is one of your affirmative defenses in court. If you have a Fannie Mae or a HUD house or what they call it, FHA. Yes. Thank you, brother. So what I'm saying is this right here is information that will protect you against them trying to take your property away, claiming you as a debtor, because you are doing business with a federal agency. When you talk about Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mac and Freddie Mac, and others, FHA loans and HUD loans, all that is government agencies. All right, and so tonight I just gave you some information, all right, under Section 4, which is the subsection under 7701 for persons, and they're telling you specifically a person. So they can dictate to you what you can do as a person and what you can't do as a person. All right, yes, brother, let me give you the mic, because people got to hear what you're saying.
Excuse me, does that also include the VA?
Yes, that's a government agency.
Okay.
Yeah, VA is a government agency. Pardon me for not saying that, brother. Pardon me for not saying that. Yes, that's a government agency. Ollie, can I get some more water, brother? Yeah. Yeah, because you know when you up here, man, your mouth get dry when you run in your mouth. So let me show you another statute. Let me show you another statute. Go to 26 USC. Same thing. 26 USC. 7701. Huh? 7701. You see the section that they're using? The section that they're using out of the 20, well, this is the Internal Revenue Code section, y'all, so you'll know. 26 USC is the Internal Revenue Code section out of the 50 titles. And you notice that they're using the same section, 7701. And you're going to see something in the section when you read it. And that section deals with definitions. So when you read the section, let me pull it up. I try to Google these things so people can see that you can Google it. 26 USC section 7701. People's hit me up every time I do a class. It never feels, when I do a lecture, folks be hitting me up. 26 USC 7701. All right. Sometimes they speak it, talk it, sometimes they don't. So I'll read it out. This is what they say here. Come on. Thank you, Brother Ali. I appreciate you all. Here we go, it popped up. This is what they say. The main target is who? All right, so you see the word person is being used in 31 USC 7701, right? Now, look what they're going to say. Number 1, 26 USC 7701. All right, let me read A first and then 1. When used in this title, we're not otherwise distinctly impressed or manifestly incompatible with the intent thereof. 1, person. The term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, a state. Matter of fact, let me write it on the board because I want you to see something. I want you to see something. Let me write it on the board. Trust, right? Somebody got it up? Estate, all right, I'm going to put that down, thank you. What else?
Partnership.
Uh-huh.
Corporation.
Association and company too.
I just want you to see what's going on. So you said someone said something else too.
Company.
Oh, thank you. Anything else?
Corporation.
I want you to see what's going on. Anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Let me share something else. This interesting, let me tell you how fly this is. As I said, it's my intellectual property for the research, but it's not my source. It's their sources. It's just that I'm using my brain power to go in their sources and dig out like a needle in a haystack the information that they're not telling you. Because that word should be in this definition. They left this out. But I'm going to show you where I found it. It was like a needle in a haystack. If you go to 26 USC section 165G. 26 USC. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So now you know this is the words for person. But you don't see the natural man or the natural woman. Is it still recording?
Yeah, still recording.
All right, because I know them folks gonna have a heart attack. And they're like, what? Are you kidding me? It's 26 USC section 165G. And they're talking about losses. But I'm going to show you the section. I'm going to show you the section what I'm talking about. And when I seen this, I couldn't believe what I seen. I couldn't believe this when I seen this. All right. Show you where it's at. Go to, oh, here we go again. Tell you, it never fail. Yes, it's 160, it's 26 USC section 165G. Go to G and then go down to 3. Go to G and then go down to 3. 3 is going to say securities in affiliated corporation. So we already know that a person is a corporation. Peace, Mo. Let me know when you're there. You're there? Look at what they say here. They said, for purposes of paragraph 1, any security in a corporation affiliated with a who? Taxpayer. What? What it says? Which is a what?
Domestic corporation.
Can you imagine? They're telling you here that a taxpayer is a domestic corporation. So again, if you was to ask the masses of our people here in the United States, are you a taxpayer? They're going to say yes. But they did not know when they say yes that they're saying they're a domestic corporation. Because again, they didn't put the word taxpayer under 26 USC 7701 section 1. This is all the definitions here for person. But they didn't put down here taxpayer. It's synonymous with the word person. So they're telling you here, again, under 165G3, securities in affiliated corporation for the purpose of paragraph 1, any security in a corporation affiliated with a taxpayer, which is a what? Domestic corporation shall not be treated as capital assets. So they're telling you that the taxpayer is a domestic corporation. That's what a taxpayer is. If you look up the word taxpayer in a Black's Law dictionary or in a regular dictionary, they're not going to tell you that it means a domestic corporation. So this is from due diligence, search, running through the Internal Revenue Code, analyzing what they're saying and how they're misclassifying us. This is what they're doing. Again, the term that I came up with, the phrase that I came up with is economic gentrification and accounting fraud. This is exactly what they're perpetrating on our people on the global scale. Economic gentrification and accounting fraud. So now you know that the word taxpayer means domestic corporation. So now you know why you will want to take the name that you use on your employment and put it in the form of an LLC, which this gentleman who on YouTube is saying why you wouldn't do an LLC. He have not done the research like me for me to tell you why you would do an LLC. Because what you're doing is creating a limited liability of taxation on you. You're limiting that liability. Because everything with a tax is about a tax liability. If it's about a tax liability, how do you create it to be limited? Well, you have to do it through an LLC. So when you take your name and you put LLC next to your name, so if your name is Jim Bob, it says Jim Bob LLC. Open up an account. The EIN number is already on the W-2 form. Because I told you before, last time, they give you, when you want to go for employment, the W-4. At the end of the year, they give you W-2. But what happened between 2 and 4? You feel what I'm saying? They don't tell you about W-3 form. They don't tell you about it. So when you look up W-3 form, which you could Google it and look up the form, again, sources of information for the dislikes, right? Because I'm going to keep drilling in on the dislike because I'm showing you sources of information. Don't dislike something and don't show the source. That's being ingenuine. You're not being sincere. Please, give us the information, dislikes. All right? Don't dislike and don't show the information. I'm showing you the sources. So my point is, If you go to the W-3 form, you will find out where the employer is actually applying for an EIN number. Only thing you got to do is confirm if that EIN number was personally assigned to you, or is it be looked upon as you being a subsidiary business to that corporation that you work for. You have to find that out, because the employer ain't going to tell you. And I got a surprise for all y'all tonight that's going to shock y'all, because I do taxes. I study taxes. I just don't do taxes, I study it. And I notice the ones who claim to do taxes don't study taxes like I do. Because if they study taxes, they would have found out the definition of taxpayer. So now you know that the word taxpayer means what? Domestic corporation. Where you find that at? 26 U.S.C. section 165G3. And you'll read it where it specifically says that a taxpayer is a domestic corporation. But they kept that definition out of 7701, because when you go to 26 U.S.C. section 7701, you'll notice it talks about definitions. So why would you use something that's synonymous with this word? All right? And you know how you know this is also affiliated with being a taxpayer? The United States Constitution, Article 1, when they say Indians not taxed and 3/5 of other persons, you see how they use the word person in reference to not being taxed along with the Indians? And this is in Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. So these guys know what they're doing. These are constitutional lawyers. They want to use this constitutional contract trust to keep our people tombstone economically into their system with these several slave clauses within the United States Constitution. You see what I'm saying? So they still got it Jim Crow. So now the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, like Drew Ali. Drew Ali was the only one who said that the Declaration of Independence says that all man is created equal. We don't need no 14th, 15th Amendment. Did you know that the immigration forms, when you file for a passport, has that in here? That you're taking on a 14th Amendment citizenship status as a Negro? I remember a friend of mine who worked for this Greek dude. He does mechanic work, and him and the Greek guy always like to joke around with each other. So the Greek guy said something funny. I forgot what it was. So I told him something funny to tell the Greek guy. I said, when you go back to your Greek boss, you tell him that when his people had to come over here as immigrants, they had to take on Negro status to become 14th Amendment citizens. So he told him that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't like it, but even if you didn't like it, it's the truth. In order for you to take on citizenship, U.S. citizenship, U.S. citizen is a Negro. This is what I'm telling you. Who told you that? The U.S. citizen is a Negro. Because the U.S. citizen falls under the 14th Amendment. Right? And they got you swearing to it. Because the page that they got you to swear on, there's a section in here where you have to swear on this form after filling the form out. All right, form, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Because there's a section here, because you got to really go over this form. I mean, man, they got some stuff in here. Oh, by the way, this 31 U.S.C. section 7701 that I told you about is on this form. That's what I got it from. Again, I can show you the sources. There's not one time I ever did a lecture in all the years of me doing the lecture that I would not show you the sources of where the information comes from. So if you dislike anything, you're disliking the sources. You're not disliking me. I'm just putting it out there. And listen to what they say here on the form. 31 U.S.C. 7701. All right, this is for the form for the passport. Requires persons, you see that term? Persons, all right, doing business with a federal agency to provide their social security number to that agency. You see that? Because the U.S. Department of State collects fees for the provisions of the passport services to you. Can you imagine that? So because they provide you a service, they got to collect fees. All right, this is what they're saying. This is what they're saying. You are regulated. You hear that? They say that you are regulated. Now, when they say that you regulated, they're talking about you being property. Like you some kind of stock or some statute to be regulated. This is what they're saying. And are collected at the time you apply for the passport services. If the department fails to receive full payment of the applicable fees, because for some example, your check is returned for any reasons or you dispute a passport fee charge to your credit card, the U.S. Department of State will take actions to collect the delinquent fees from you under 2822 U.S. CFR, that's the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 34, and the Federal Claims Collection Standard. All right, and they say C31 CFR, Part 900 to 900. Well, one more that I know was showing there's a way that you fill out this form, all right, to get the passport. Because this more, that's one more. Another more said something to me that in the past, he said that the passport said national. That's what he said. The passport said national, right? You can get the passport, but you got to go through the immigration process. All right? You can get the passport, but you got to go through an immigration status or process to get a passport.
But the passport, I want to get, I need to get a passport like tomorrow. So, will I have to go to, now I have all my, okay,
Hold on. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
I need to get a passport tomorrow. So I have all my papers stating that I'm a Moor, the declaration and everything. Where do I get, can I go to the Moroccan embassy and apply for my passport? Do I have to go to
Let me tell you something, brother. As I said earlier before, the Moroccan embassy are under Arab invasion. They don't recognize you as a Moor. Even though the fact that in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it says Moor in quite a few of those articles. But those are not technically Moors, and they're really not Moroccans. They're really Arabs claiming to be Moroccans. Because they invaded our land, like the European invaded our land. All right, so this is the reason why the brother needs to be aware of these things. You just can't arbitrarily just make statements banging on people's viewpoints because you just see differences. All right? I respect your differences, but you don't have to bang on my difference because I don't bang on your difference. All right? Because what I'm doing works for me. Maybe what you're doing don't work for me. You know what I'm saying? Like one food will work for me where somebody else's food may not work for me. You see what I'm saying? So we can't just be going off on each other. We have to find out how it's going to be a cure to you. All right? What I eat may be a cure to me, shouldn't be a poison to you. It should be a cure to you just like it should be a cure to me. This is what I'm saying. All right? Because we consume pharmaceutical that can be poisonous to me is equally poison to you, but it's supposed to be helping you as a treatment. But if I don't have that illness, it can wreak havoc on my system because it has something to wreak havoc on. But if there's nothing there, it's going to attack me, you know, in an awful way. So what I'm saying is that we have to begin to start going a different route. The State Department is who we have to address. Not too many things I want to say over social media. People take your information, they get wrecked with it, ruin it for everybody.
Okay.
That's why I love Drew Ali, because Drew Ali made it clear. He said, you don't want to wake the Moors all up at one time. Why? Because they may wreck something. Drew Ali said that. Because he realized what was going on. But remember now, you look at the time from 1865 to 1913, you subtract, you can hold on to it, brother, because the mic is working very well. If you subtract from 1913 from 1865 is roughly around nearly 50 years that Drew Ali or our people came out of slavery. So look at the mindset that our people was in. And look at what Drew Ali was saying. Drew Ali, during his time, is relevant to this time. Because look what you're asking me.
Okay.
If men is all equal, see this form is 14th Amendment. This is 14th Amendment. You see what I'm saying? So if we already here in this land by birthright, that's why I love Drew Ali, because he's the only one that made it clear to me. All right? By birthright. This is the two words that you need to be aware of. Just solely, just sanguinis. This means right to land, right to soil. That's your birthright. See, this is Moorish sign. This is what we learned 20-something years ago when I came in the Moorish movement. Nobody's really teaching this plain and simple today. Everybody's running around with misused or misplaced WRITS and not even getting it effectively being proper. But you got to know the language in order before the usage can be effective in the writ. The language is the usage, not the writ. It's the language that's in the writ that's usage. That's what. So you got to learn this language first before you can put a goddamn writ together. You just can't arbitrarily put the root together and say the white man is just ignoring it, and he's not doing this and he's not doing that. Yeah. So I want to ask you a question. So how come when I have put together an adversarial complaint in bankruptcy, I got the proof? I'm not going to give you no thumbs down. I got the proof. Because in the adversarial complaint in bankruptcy, because no one, chapter 7 or 13 or 11, should do any bankruptcy without doing an adversarial proceeding. Because you're letting your creditors get away with murder. Did you hear what I'm saying? The bankruptcy is a strategy. Yes, it is a strategy. Use the strategy to your advantage. If you have to file a chapter 7 to liquidate, file a chapter to liquidate. Just to hold them horses down off you. Because they're trying to take your credit through your mortgage or your house or the cars or the credit cards or whatever. They're stealing your credit, which is your equity, which is your asset. They don't teach you that. They turn around and take your credit and put you from the credit side and put you to the debit side. And how you know that they're taking your credit from you? Because the question is, why in the hell would they ask you, what is your credit score? Someone today said to me, oh, brother, you know what I noticed they didn't do? I said, brother, you're the first one that said that outside of myself. I have never heard no one say this. He said, they're not reporting the note to the credit bureau. I said, brother, you just threw me to the floor, because that's what I teach. That's what I teach. Did you know if you have a student loan note, an auto loan note, a mortgage note, some kind of credit card note, that those notes is supposed to be reported to the credit bureau for credit? If you was approved for $300,000 credit to buy a house, how come they don't put that on your credit report? Ask that question. But as soon as you fail to make a payment, that goes on your credit score. So your score go down. But if you're going to start, what I'm saying here, everybody should start off, everybody should automatically have an 800 credit score. They got you working backwards. They got you working backwards. Because there's no way you could be approved for a house for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and then your credit score is a 6.5. And the credit score has something to do with the interest rate. Because the lower your credit score, the higher the interest rate. The higher your credit score, the lower the interest rate. But can you imagine if you had an 800 credit score? Your credit score will probably be, your interest rate will probably be 0. Next to none. So they don't start you off. That's the reason why they don't report it, y'all. They would not dare put that you was approved for a house for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 and report it to the credit bureau, because they're going to have to start you off with an 800 credit score. And then you will be going down if you don't make payments. You won't be trying to go up making payments. You follow what I'm saying? So people need to be aware of that. But as I was saying about the adversarial complaint, this client of mine, who I'm helping, 3 people was robbing her of her equity. So she filed bankruptcy. But when she did it as Chapter 13. But the judge was busting her on her tail. Because when you do a Chapter 13 in the form of a corporation, and that is and I don't even like to use the word individual because that's a corporation too. A lot of people don't know that. All right, I'm going to show you something tonight. The judge was busting her up real bad. But if it wasn't for me to show her maneuvers, her legal maneuvers, like I said before and I say it again, you cannot make checker moves on the chessboard. You got to know the chess moves. All right, so since the judge was beating her up and the lawyer under Chapter 13 because of the corporation, because she didn't do it as a quote-unquote individual. She did it as a corporation. So because she didn't have a lawyer, the judge was beating her up. Shut up. You can't say a word. You got a lawyer? No, can't say nothing. So now the lawyer over there going ballistic. He going bananas. He's having major orgasms because now he can go off on her and she can't raise any defenses. All right? Which she should have said, Your Honor, I object. I need to get an attorney. That's what she should have said. Because right now, this proceeding is a prejudice. Because my property is going to get taken by this attorney. You're telling me I can't speak, but I can object and say, I need to go get an attorney. I'm allowed to do that, correct? Yes. That's what you should have did and postpone it. She didn't have enough knowledge to know that. Simple stuff. But guess what? We didn't have to do that. I said, just convert it to a Chapter 7, and you got control. See how simple that is? You didn't need an attorney. So the law clerk gave her the form and said, go downstairs immediately to make the switch. You see that? Just by what I told her. Something simple. I saved a whole heap of money. Because you know if she would have got an attorney, he's going to want $2,500, $5,000 retainer just to do her case. But I gave her something simple as just do a conversion from the 13 to the 7. And when she said, I'd like to do a conversion, the clerk gave her the paper saying, hey, this is it. Go downstairs and put that in right away. And he said that because that's before the judge hit the bench. Because at least the judge would know that that's a conversion and they would have to postpone it. You see what I'm saying? And that helped her. So now while the conversion was going on, I helped her with the adversary complaint. Kicking ass. Because the clerk sent out a notice to the other defendants by saying, if you don't respond to this adversary complaint, I'm going to put in a judgment of default against you. Excellent, because now she has leverage. Where she didn't have leverage, in a very vulnerable position, I changed the whole course. Just like a chess. Just a pawn on the chessboard can disturb the whole damn game. If you play chess, if you know what I'm talking about. A pawn, you don't have to be no major piece on the board. A pawn, just making a pivotal square move can change up the whole damn game. The pawn can make you be a winner from a loser, and he can have all the chess pieces he has. Just one pawn, you just got to know the strategy. That's what I'm trying to say to y'all. Yes, brother.
Mr. Bell, let me get this in.
Yes.
For the identification. Malcolm said coming in.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm listening.
Relay that to.
Express that again. You said identification. I'm listening.
Yeah. They're changing it. In other words, when immigrants, even if you're American so-called citizen.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Don't say no more. Because, Chief, I have to study all this damn thing, so I didn't quite catch what you were saying at first.
Yeah.
Brother, again, that's why I touched on this.
Right.
This relates to what you showed me.
Right.
What they're doing now for employment, because Amor called me earlier today. I'm telling you, I get calls from all over. And you see my phone be ringing. And the reason why you never see it here ringing probably before, because I cut the volume off. Because I be cutting it off. Anyway, they want him to fill out an I-9 form. All right, the I-9 form usually was given to folks who were quote-unquote foreigners. Now they're giving quote-unquote U.S. citizens I-9 form, which means if you was fired from your job and you decide to go get another job, the I-9 form is issued in that application because they want you to mark off U.S. citizen. All right, and I know why they're doing that. They're not doing that just for immigration issue. They're doing that because of the Moors. So don't tell me that you can't talk about the law, and the law ain't going to help you. All right? Because they're using the law as a weapon of warfare. Because I said earlier, 15 Moors from the Department of Correction was claiming themselves to be Moorish American. That's a national. All right? Drew Ali had that on the nationality card at the bottom. It says, I am a citizen of U period, A period, S period. U period, S period, A period, excuse me. United States of America. Drew Ali never said you are a U.S. citizen. He said that you are an American citizen. An American citizen is a national. Just like we was talking about earlier about the Organization of American States. Each one of those states are American citizens. They don't need no damn passport. They don't need no I-9 form or no green card. All right, this is for money reasons. And the reason why I know it's for money because I'm the only one that's dropping it. The fact that you can get the Q-sub number on the goddamn passport, what I showed you last time. I showed you, when I showed the brother from Antigua, the Q-sub number on the passport, it was ranging in the billions. You can't even purchase the bond no more because the public trading, it reached its max. So you can't even purchase the bond. So now we got to go another route, which is the minor number. Because I already told you that the Q-sub has two platforms. All right? It has the major platform and it has the minor platform. And usually when you get a securitization order from this company that I recommend highly, you will see in the Bloomberg screenshot all the Q-sub numbers. Right, brother?
Yes.
Mujahid?
Yeah, because they were over 60.
You talk to the mic, brother.
Yeah.
Talk to the mic so people can hear you.
Yeah, we did a forensic audit, and there were over 67 Q-sub numbers that was related to that particular
Mortgage.
mortgage.
And the 60-something Q-sub numbers that he's talking about, those are the investors. Those are the investors. Those Q-sub numbers is associated with his mortgage.
And there was over $385 million. It was actually $385 million that was involved.
All right. In that transaction.
In the transaction.
Yes, exactly. That's the platform that it was trading on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. And this is what I've been trying to show our brothers. Because everything in this system is a bond age. Everything is bondage. Bondage is another name, synonym, security, insurance, indemnification, all these different names they got for it. Guarantee. That's what it is. So all these commercial paper, look that word paper up in law or in finance. Go to Investopedia, INVESTOPEDIA.com, Investopedia. And you type in paper in the browser, or go to a law or financial dictionary like I have here, and you look up the word paper, and you'll find out that the word paper means commerce or commercial. So if you got a marriage license, a birth certificate, social security card, green card, passport, driver's license, mortgage, student loan, auto loan, I can go on and on, commitments, I can go on and on and on, letters of credit, I can go on and on. All of them have serial numbers to it. Serial numbers to it. So when you look up the word serial, you'll be surprised what they mean in here. So that's why I try to school people what it is. You know what I'm saying? So you know what's going on. Because a lot of us don't have a financial education to know what's going on. Title to your car. All right, I didn't name everything, but every piece of paper out there that's being regulated and being processed has serial numbers on it. And those same papers you can get what they call is the Q-sub numbers on those documents. All right, like the birth certificate. The birth certificate, usually you'll see either double or triple A. What does that mean? Double or triple A. We heard of Standard & Poor's, right? We heard of Moody's before, right? What do they do? What do these companies do? They give credit ratings on bonds. Because they look at the performance of the bonds, and when the bonds are doing good in the market, at the end of the day, they give a rating. And then the investors look at that rating and they want to buy into it because they want the interest as a residual income from the bond. What's up, man? It's been a minute. Yes. You need the mic, brother, because when I listen to the videos, I'm not so much looking listening at myself, but I noticed that people can't hear y'all, so it's very important that you use the mic. Yes.
Okay, on the new Maryland driver's license,
Yes.
you know, they changed everything around and made it mandatory that you give up the old license and get the new one. And it's you know, they got your picture in the cross and all of that.
All right.
So I took out my phone and scanned it.
Excellent.
And
Most people don't even know to do that, but that's excellent.
so it came up the day that they issued was under like a stop.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Can I share something else with that word? If you get an etymology dictionary, because people know me from etymology and epistemology, if you get an etymology dictionary, look up the word stub. You know how you get your paycheck and you have a stub? When you look up the etymology, it says stock. This is why they're taxing you. So when you say stock, that's a synonym for the word stub.
Also, it was many different like businesses that, like mortgages, all types of businesses or whatever.
Yes.
But that particular one, I was attracted to because it was the same date that they dropped the issue.
And it was good that you paid attention to that, brother. So, I want to ask you a question. The date that they gave that the issue, did they backdated it? The new ID that they modified, did they backdated it to that issue? That's very important to know. Because if they backdated it to that issue to make the change, then that would be a fraudulent financial instrument. And we can hold them to that. But if they did, there was a reason why they did. I can tell you why. As soon as you verify that.
You say, did they backdate it?
Well, the issue date. Because you said that when they make
the new one?
Yes. Did they use the issue date of the old one for the new one, or the new one for the old one? Because we got to pay attention to these issue dates. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
10 minutes? All right, thank you, Noble.
That's false.
Not the same day.
All right, but see, all right, let me share something with you, because they think they're slick. The new one, if we get the Q-sub number, is going to show you the inception date. That's the issue date. All right, because they may just put that up there just to keep that, like, there's no fraud going on. But if you do the Q-sub number on the new issue, we have to see what the inception date is. Like when I did the passport for the brother, with the Q-sub number, the inception date where they was trading was in 97. All right, that's the one that they no longer pay trade on the public as a public offering. So that's why we got to do the Q-sub on that new driver license.
Also,
and see, I'm listening.
Also, they made it mandatory, so it was like everybody was rushing in to try and get this done.
Right.
Because they were saying that if you get pulled over, they taking your, they taking your driver's license, so you're gonna be without one. So everybody's running to motor vehicle to do this.
Yeah, that's a McCarthy scare.
So they changed the date from October this year to next year.
That's what you meant.
Well, put it this way, brother. That's a McCarthy scare. And I said this for my last lecture. This is like part 2 of it. I only have 10 minutes. A lot of information to be dropped. The police department or the municipality never issued the driver license. It was motor vehicle, which is a state agency. How could the municipality, any police officer, stop you and ask you for your license and registration? He does not technically have the authority to do that. You contracted with motor vehicle, not with the police department. So they have to show you what authority for them to ask you for your license and registration where you contracted, not just the authority, where you contracted and the authority for them you to hand that over. Because when you look at the vehicle traffic law, a law that they don't talk about, they'll give you the the written test, the book for the written test, and you take the road test, but you don't never get the vehicle traffic law. And there's nothing in the vehicle traffic law that says that any municipality has a right to pull you over and ask you for your license and registration. But see, when they hear this kind of lecture, you'd be surprised that they would incorporate that in there, because then a lot of people will be challenging them, so they would politically would change that. But what is the contract between you and the police department to say that they can take your license and registration from you because they're claiming that it's a traffic infraction? And if there's a traffic infraction, well, do you have commercial plates? Because the word traffic in law means commercial. All right? So it's very important to be aware of this. Yes?
Also, I noticed that when, instead of going in and taking the license that you have and changing it, they want you to bring birth certificates, probably about 6 or 7 different documents.
Yeah, I see what they're doing. They're reorganizing to build up these bonds. All right, because they're not pulling in enough money. The police department is not pulling in enough money. I say, I know how this thing works, brother. The police department is not pulling in enough money. And so this is a way of pulling in more money. You know what I'm saying? And then they're trying to say that we want to eliminate fraud by bringing in the birth certificate, all these other instruments to prove that this is you. All right, but meanwhile, they're the ones perpetrating the fraud. All right, because somebody today called me and said they had an issue with the court with the traffic, and he used the W-9 form that I talked about. All right, because anytime they want to establish a payee-payor relationship, which is a fiduciary capacity putting you in, right, you have to use the W-9 form because they're collecting fees, and are they reporting it to the IRS? Of course not. All right. So again, it's not just the W-9 form by itself. You have to have a notice of taxpayers' requests. The notice of taxpayers' request is the request from them as the taxpayer requesting from you payment for a charge that they're charging you. All right. This is what I try to make sure that it's simple and clear of what I'm breaking down. So he was saying that the court said they wouldn't fill that out. So of course they wouldn't fill that out. But guess what? They have an EIN number. That's what I know for a fact. If you find out what that county court's EIN number, you can really put it in yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you can file a complaint against them by using, if they're for profit, all right, if they're for profit, you can use a 3949A to file a complaint with the Internal Revenue, all right, where they will be investigated and audited, their books for not reporting that revenue, and this is how you shut them down, because they'd rather dismiss your case than have an audit on their account. That's the science. 1 second, brother, I'm trying to give you the rest of the information. If it's a non-for-profit, it's the 13909 form, because you got some municipalities or credit unions are non-for-profit, and when they are collecting fees or penalties or whatever, you use 13909. You can Google these forms that I'm talking about. 3949A for profit, 13909 for non-profit. And you can file and show the evidence to the IRS, and they will go after them for you. All right? So what's your question, brother? I had to just get that information out. Yes?
Also, I Googled it at another time, and they changed the date.
All right, when you said they changed the date, you took the date off what?
Issue.
Well, that's what I was asking you earlier. That's what I was asking you earlier, because I heard you clearly about when you said they changed the date of the issue. So that's what I was saying, between the coordination between the old and the new.
Yeah, but it wasn't, when they changed it, it wasn't the old one. It wasn't the same date. They changed it like from the 28th to the 29th.
All right, to accommodate the new one. All right, so the new one would have that date.
The new one has 28. So, but
all right, the new one has 28. All right, when they make the changes, they're making revisions or provisions, I should say, of the old one to be updated with the new one. That's what you're saying.
No.
So you
just from like the 28th to the 29th.
All right, but what I'm saying to you, if you're paying attention, give me 1 second, because I want everybody to be clear what he's saying and what I'm articulating. You all know that there's expiration dates when it comes to these instruments, correct?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to allude to say that if the old one has an expiration date, and normally it goes by your birthday.
they changed
All right.
it.
So for them to just put a date there, it would be sort of like a conflict, because depending on when the date of your birthday will fall, in that month or that year, for them to be changing the date. You get what I'm saying? You have to look at all the variables to see what they're doing. Because I know they're violating people when they do this issue with change date. So I hear you what you're saying for the new one with the 28th, but I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do the old one if people's birthdays fall within a certain month. You see what I'm saying? It ain't like they're saying all those birthdays that expire at this particular month and year have to come and register at this time. Because I don't hear any of that language. I'm just hearing what you're stating to me, but I already know how this thing, we all know how this thing works technically. We do all know how this thing works, but nobody's paying attention on how they're regulating this issuing dates between the old and the new.
Right.
They're not taking the birthdays into consideration based upon what I'm hearing what you're saying. So that's what I was calculating in my head as you were speaking. So I figured let me articulate it more so you can see what I'm saying, because they have to show some expiration for everybody across the board, because if they're going to do a McCarthy scare to have everybody to run in there to make these changes, all right, they have to effectuate people based upon the month and date that they were born when they do register these things. That's why they was asking for the birth certificate, because the birth certificate would confirm the month and the year that you were born and the day, so they can make this determination. You know, but you know what, I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. It's all got to do with money. All right, they just want to refinance. That's nothing but a refinance for bonds. That's all it is. That's why I said if we go through Q-sub number, look up on these things, we can see behind the scenes, behind the financial scenes, what they're actually doing. We have a way of finding these things out. Any questions? Any other questions? Because we got less than 10 minutes, Noble? Oh, all right.
Got another question about.
All right, you have to get the mic. All right. Let's get it in, y'all, because I got to be down there at a certain time. So.
Okay, we're going back to Q-sub numbers. Now, basically, it's very important that we do get our minor Q-sub number, and how do we go about getting that number?
Again, I have a contact to get those things.
Okay.
All right. It's been said that you can actually go to Fidelity, but there's a certain procedure that you got to go through. Some people ain't gonna want to go through it. They'd rather pay the $100 or whatever, or $200 or $300, whatever. I'm just throwing out arbitrary figures, because some people do pay to try to get the number, because they're not gonna tediously want to just sit at. Because some people just don't have the mind for it.
Okay.
They say, here, get it for me. Some people are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would go and do the research, like myself.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it all depends.
So, if someone wanted to get it, they could either check with you.
Yeah, you have to check with me, brother, because again, on social media, certain things I won't say.
Yes.
Because, you know, when you are putting that information out there, they're going to see you as a threat, just like I was showing about those officers filming us. Any other questions, y'all? Because we got to wrap it up.
Yeah,
Talk to me. Yes.
Yeah, you broke. Oh, I need a mic.
Yes.
Yeah, earlier you were talking about the mortgage and
Yes.
how they report when you don't make payments, but they don't report the actual note.
That's right.
Is
And where you can find this out, so you would know, publication 334, page 24.
Yeah, I know that they don't report the actual note because I have mortgages.
All right, but what I'm saying is, they don't report the notes.
Right.
You would say, well, where do you get that from? Publication 334, page 24, shows you that they're supposed to report the note to the IRS. They don't do that. Because if they did report the note, you know how you get a 1098 at the end of the year, which is a mortgage credit?
Yeah.
Pardon me. You would get more money if the note is being reported than, because they cheating you with giving you at the end of the year a 1098, which is the mortgage credit for your tax return. They're cheating you. If you go to publication 334 and go to page 24, you're going to see where they were supposed to report the note. The note is generating a certain amount of money. When you want those tax returns on that note, you get what I'm saying? You're going to have more equity. It's going to be so much equity from that note, you can buy another house, or you can pay off the house that you're living in. This is what all I'm saying, but I'm listening.
Right, so I was saying, regarding the credit, how do you get them to report the entire amount?
You can do it. You can do it. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're asking. You can do it. Matter of fact, you can even file a complaint that they failed to file the credit. Yes, you can do it. Just like you can file a complaint to remove bad credit off your credit score,
right,
where you can report to them and say, this is the credit that I had at this particular date, and you can prove it.
And that's through LexisNexis?
You can do that.
Okay.
You can do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Islam brothers and sisters, Greg closes out. Be back in 2 more weeks with Taj Tariq Bey. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Thanks for coming, y'all.
Thank you for
Thank you for
coming.
coming.
Brother Ali,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to, I don't know whether we sent you the notice, but we have a program on the 8th of October. So if you can kind of.
That's on a Tuesday?
It is on Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay, 8th of October? All right.